with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get a hold of our friend NJ Weedman right now, see what he has been up to. If you're not friends with NJ Weedman, go look him up, man. Go look him up on the Twitter machine and Facebook as well. What's going on tonight, brother?
Hey, what's going on?
Just another night. You know how it goes.
Okay, it's perfect this time, right?
Yeah, man, it's great.
There we go.
I believe in you, my friend.
No cell phone at the club.
Right. No, that's all good, man. You know, hey, with everything you've been put through, it's and your work ethic and everything that you put forth is great as well. So, you know, we all catch each other off guard sometimes, and sometimes stuff doesn't always work out the way you plan. So I'm cool with that, and I like going off the cuff. It adds a good element to whether it's good or bad. You know, it keeps me on my toes, so I'm all good.
That'll work.
All right, so what's been going on lately? Readily free, man, as it were, and so how's everything been headed up since the last time we talked?
Well, as you know, I got released. You know, the news, the judge the last time, he called me in after my 10 days, and we had a hearing, and he just gave me time served. I mean, I still had a couple more months to go, but what was happening was every time I'd be released for my 10 days, somebody else would be talking to me, and I'd be making headlines every 10 days, you know, and they were getting a lot of phone calls, I'm sure.
Shit, yeah, man. Good. Hey, that's what we do for, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, the Europeans were writing about me.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you know, I made what was that, the Daily Mail, which is a big newspaper in London, and there was a few blogs, European blogs. There was a French blog too. I had to use Google Translator to read it, but it was pretty good, you know. And I know what was happening. People were calling or inquiring about it, you know, with the state, and then the state. I think the Christie administration, the Attorney General's office, was probably calling the Burlington County where I'm at and saying, you know, like, what's with this guy? Like, what's with this sentence? You know, so hey, I'm happy. It got
yeah,
you know,
and
just get rid of it.
And you know, upon your release as well, and we've seen all these, you know, regardless of you know, I don't want to take any heat away from you, because I think you've earned and deserve every last bit of heat that you're getting on everything that you've been doing. But you know, aside from your issue, Chris Christie has been put in a hot seat, and I know that you've been making valiant efforts against that whole deal as well.
Oh yeah, man, I'm happy. Like, this one newspaper, I mean, this one radio station did a whole interview with me just about me being happy.
Right.
The Christie was going through all this.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you know, everything that I've seen are headlines. You know, I haven't had too much time to look into everything that's going on with that. But, you know, he's still sitting there saying, regardless of if the voters voted in, that will never happen here. You know what I mean? Like, it's like such, like, the arrogance and being so adamant about that. And I'm going, really? Like, this is the guy that's supposed to be the people's, you know, the people's champion as far as the Republican Party is concerned. Hey, you know, Chris will tell it like how it is, you know, and all these other things, you know, and just this strong stance on all of this has been quite off-putting to some people, all of us included.
Yeah, he's wrong, and that's why for like pretty much the last 2 years I've been talking crap about him loudly, you know, telling. And I don't know. I find that over the last 2 years in the weed movement, in the legalized marijuana movement, I've been vocally talking about Chris Christie, and you know, it took another scandal to bring a lot of attention to it. But now that the national spotlight is on him, I noticed there's a lot of the cannabis activists now understand that we couldn't have this guy as our president anyway. He would have been a disaster.
And, I mean, it's insane just to see what's happened. I mean, it hasn't even been a month and a half since, you know, Washington and Colorado have been recreationally implemented. And now the dominoes are just starting to fall all across the country. I mean, it really is. Like in lower, you've got lower courts and lower legislation in smaller areas sitting there going, well, maybe it's time to rethink this, and taking slacker stances at least upon arresting people and upon decriminalization. There's all these different steps, of course, that have to be taken. And I've seen these maps and stuff of people that have it on the ballot. Florida, we have medicinal on the ballot for 2014, coming up this November as well. And, a handful of states have it up for recreational use as well. I think Ohio is one of those states that have it both simultaneously for medicinal and recreational. And it's great to see those dominoes start to fall.
Yeah. Just the fact that everyone's talking about it now. Even.
Yeah. It really is a hot button issue. I mean, this is like the new gay marriage or something, or whatever. Like as far as pulling on the heartstrings of people, it's really starting to be I don't want to say a dividing issue, because I really don't think it is. It's only dividing as far as politicians and the American public go, because it's so funny to see these people that are running for Congress and local politicians this year that don't want to touch the weed issue. They really don't. They're really being like, we still don't know. Sorry, we've been being too busy being political figures to really notice what the people are really wanting. And the fact is that overwhelmingly the people want this gone and done with, and we've been lied to for years on end. And the past 5 to 10 years alone, we have learned so many new great things about this plant.
Mm-hmm. Well, correctly, it should be, we've known it, but now the truth has been exposed.
Sure.
Because that's really what's happened. For a long time, the government has suppressed the truth about marijuana, and now it's hard for them to stop it. To be honest with you,
Right.
The internet, people are connected now. People can look up the truth.
And people already know, people as far back as at least like our parents know, that came from that generation of like, well, okay, this is definitely not methamphetamine, it's not cocaine, it's not heroin, yet it's been scheduled as such. And, if you really go back and look at the history of the drug war that actually started long before Nixon implemented it, was very absurd concerning marijuana. And it's just insane to see all the health benefits and everything that we've learned on that side of the story, and what's actually able to come to fruition once you don't have those damning regulations and legal aspects of everything. What's been able, cancer and seizures and all these different strands that have been able to be developed, and everything like that has just been just insane to hear, quite frankly, for those of us that wanted to just liked it recreationally, which I think something I saw about 2 to 4 years ago was something like 85% of Americans over the age of 18 have at least tried marijuana in their lifetime, which if you've done it at least once, I think gives you a little bit more of a leg up as far as actually talking about it than what the propaganda has led us to believe these past damn near 100 years.
Right. It's incredible. Hey, just curious. I actually have something else going on right now that has nothing to do with marijuana. While I was in our local county jail, something horrible happened. Did you get a chance to read or watch that letter I sent I sent out for.
I read like a page and a half and grazed over the rest. I was running a little bit late on time, but yeah, I did hear about that a few days ago as well, and I was wondering, please inform everybody. What, $94 ticket turned into a life sentence for somebody?
Yeah, there's this guy. He's a homeless guy who goes in and out of the Burlington County Jail. His name was Robert Taylor, and you know, he had a nickname kind of like I did. Like, I'm the New Jersey Weedman, and people laugh and joke about it sometimes that I call myself the Weedman. But there's this guy. His name was Robert Taylor. He was a kind of a heavy-set white guy with a beard and a red face, and they called him Drunk Santa Claus.
Okay, all right.
Like that was his nickname, Drunk Santa Claus, Santa Claus. But anyway, he was kind of an obnoxious guy, too. Like, it was almost funny. But when he was in jail this last month in December, he ended up dying. And he died of some type of, alcohol withdrawal. But witnesses said that the guards left him on the floor for like 5 days and didn't do anything, didn't treat him well, just left him there, basically mistreated him, and he died from neglect.
Wow.
And there was a witness who had mailed a couple letters out while he was in jail, and he couldn't get them out, or they didn't get out. He couldn't reach anybody. So when I got released, I hand carried a letter out and sent it to a couple news media.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's how that whole thing came about. That's awesome, man.
So I handed it out, and it's going all over the internet now. You know, there was a video that was put up just a little bit more than 48 hours ago, and over 16,000 people have watched it already. Like, it got 10,000 hits in the first 24 hours. And it's kind of going everywhere. Like, and today I happened to be near the jail. I wasn't that far from the jail, and I was at a convenience store, and I actually bumped into one of the COs. He's not one of the ones that had anything to do with that issue. But
I'm sure he's aware, though.
Oh, yeah. He was totally aware. Not only was he aware of that, he was, like, totally aware that I had put it out there. He said, yeah, man, because, like, we talked about it. He said, yeah, there's some people pissed. And he even said to me, he goes, he said, don't even mention this. He's like, if you mention it, I'm going to deny it.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, no problem. But he told me, he said he doesn't know nothing about what happened. But he definitely said that there are people pissed now, and there's like they've all watched it. They've all gone on the website and watched me talking about it.
Right.
Read the letter. The whole jail, like, I'm talking about the staff. No, like I don't want to go back to jail now. For sure. Because I'm sure there's a few in there that are very pissed at me.
Sure.
And but you know what? This had nothing to do with marijuana. It had nothing to do with race issues or anything, because this is a white guy, you know, and I'm not, you know, it's like a human thing.
Yeah, and sure.
It's totally a human thing.
Well, we're starting to see this, you know, this is, I don't know, I'm not going to say we're starting to see this, but, you know, I've been really hankering down on police brutality and all of these different issues, and it's like, you know, I've got guest spots on other shows that I do, that I'm a weekly guest on their shows, and, you know, I'm sitting here going, oh, well, bring the topics. Well, you know what? Sorry, my news feed is filled with overreaching of power by police all day long. You know, that's really what it is, and that's like the first line of defense to me. You know what I mean? Like, that is really what it comes down to. You don't have this overreaching of power by police. You don't have a totalitarian task force willing to fight, live, and die for the paycheck that they get from government to hurt people. You know what I mean? Right.
But
sorry, what you were saying?
No, I mean, I'm saying it right. I'm agreeing with it. You know, I'm totally agreeing. It's just incredible that a guy can go to jail, and you have to also understand this too. It's also like a class thing, an economic thing.
Sure.
The guy was kind of, you know, he's a homeless guy.
Who gives a shit, right? You know.
And we had a very, very cold winter up here this year in New Jersey. We've been getting hit. It's supposed to snow tonight. We're supposed to get like 10 inches of snow. We've been averaging in the 20s as far as temperature-wise goes. They've been talking about this polar vortex that we're in. And homeless people, the real homeless people, not ones that are, sleeping in cars. Well, I'm talking about the people who are sleeping in cars, the people who are sleeping on the streets.
Right.
The people who end up in shelters. Those people are really going through something now. And some of them, like Mr. Taylor, would get drunk in public or do something pretty much nonviolent, but get himself locked up. And then don't pay the bail. Don't pay the ticket. And he'll stay there. And that's the case. They think that's what he did. It was cold. He went and got drunk in public, showed up somewhere, and got arrested. Went to jail. He had a $96 ticket warrant he also had. And he had no intention of paying it, probably. He was just going to sleep for
Hey, I got a day job, and I have a hard enough time paying a $96 ticket. That's like, it's like, well, what am I going to eat this month,
Yeah. Well, he ended up trying to get warm, and he ended up, cold dead. It's like crazy. And I don't know. I kind of had a feeling for it because, to be honest with you, I've been in that county jail a few times. I've been known to offend and irritate law enforcement and officials too. And that's basically what he did. He was an obnoxious type of guy, and he pissed off people. And not only was he a drunk, he pissed off people. Now, I'm not a drunk, but I piss off people. I know I do. Sometimes I do it on purpose.
Something. It seems to be a running theme with most of us that's sort of the overall vernacular of what we're doing here. Yeah. But yeah.
So I can identify with the guy. Not that I'm a drunk or an obnoxious, but I can identify with pissing off people and ending up in jail.
Right.
And this guy pissed off somebody, ended up in jail, and they threw him in the hole, which is for punishment, not for medical problems. And he died there. So I don't know, and I think he died from abuse. So of course, not that I'm suddenly taking up prisoner abuse issues. It's always kind of been on my radar.
Right.
But I think this made me speak out about it. And right now, I think you may see a few things, because I talked to the Burlington County Times today, is one of the newspapers around here, about this incident. They're actually investigating, and a lot of it has to do with they watched my video. They saw me reading the guy's letter through the mail. I mean, he's reading his letter on the internet. So they're seeing that I've made a point to make the public outside of this area see it. So now the newspapers, I believe, are getting ready to do a big expose. Two newspapers told me they put in it's called a public information request.
Yeah. The FOIA requests and stuff. Yeah, those are, that's so funny. That's sort of like an inherent bone that they kind of threw us at the end of the day. Like, that we could start to go and do that, and people are taking advantage of that as well. But, right. The other thing is that, I don't know. I think it's good to take up multiple issues. I know you've got your causes, and, a lot of people stay keyed into one thing, but man, that is just so awesome that you and not too many other people have the chance to really get things like that media-wise, like nationwide, and in your case, internationally as well. So that's a great step, and it's so funny for those of us that, I know that you consider yourself the small guy just as I do. You know what I mean? We're nobody really, special at the end of the day, but the fact of the matter is that we opened our voice, we spoke out, and that people are starting to take notice to that. And it's like when you have that sort of media attention that you've got right now with issues like that, it's so funny how the municipalities and whatnot start to stand down and start to take a little bit more of a defensive approach when you start to get some heat behind you. So that's always a good thing. Exposure is always a good thing when it comes to stuff like that.
Yep. Well, I've had the media's attention for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
Which always surprised me. I'm getting ready to say something here that I'm not trying to piss nobody off, but
that's okay. That's what we do here, man.
It always surprised me that I'd say for over a decade now, at least, I've pretty much had in this area of South Jersey between Philadelphia and New York, all the main newspapers here listen to me. I've had mainstream press attention for at least 10 years. Almost anything I do gets publicized. And our side, our activism media,
right.
I've had my issues not being able to get my word out that way.
And I'll be honest, and I'll be straightforward with you, because it was a while before I became cued in. I cut my teeth and made my bones about a lot of bigger issues, like global issues, and the big picture of everything. And I really wasn't too cued in on individual stories. But in the past year and a half, I've been a hell of a lot more clued in and cued in on a lot more personal issues with different people, because it's fights like yours that win the big fight, and I've, it's my own realization I had to come to, but I've always been, as long as I've known about you, I've always been a big supporter of everything that you're trying to do, and your fight and struggle as well. And as well as many other people all across the country, and in some cases, internationally. So, it really is about awareness too. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, if I knew about this 10 years ago, I would have helped you. You know what I mean? But it's becoming aware that really, that really gets everybody fired up and behind certain causes. And, yours I take, not only because we talk often enough, but, that I just think it's just a great and worthy cause, and such a prime. Your situation is very, very unique, and there's very little wiggle room for establishment to play against you, as far as I'm concerned. That's why I think that your case and your situation has made it as far as it has, because it is such a unique and great issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've had some of the press say that they couldn't write my story. They couldn't write my story at a movie gathering. It just seemed like all these things just lined up right, for this fight. But trust me, if I was to redo it all over again, that first arrest in 1997 that pissed me off to make me do all this, I would avoid it.
Sure.
I wouldn't be Weedman.
Right. Nobody wants that heat when it's like, oh, well, now it's like and that's what spawns activism. Let's be honest, man. Yeah. That started in high school for me. I mean, just being, I was the kid that was getting suspended over reading books in high school. You know what I mean? I was like, my mom would have to come up to the school to be like, you're going to try to suspend my son for reading in school? Yeah, it's math class and he should probably be doing math, but, you're going to try to suspend this kid for reading in high school? So it's issues like that, and something... A negative aspect of government reaches out and touches you in a negative way in your life, and you almost have no other choice but to, throw yourself balls deep into the issue.
Right. Well, over the years, it's always been about awareness. Like I've always looked at the press as, the founding fathers of this country gave the press the freedom of the press. Not so they can announce box scores or to follow the lottery. It was specifically given to them to report the abuse of government to the people.
To be the unofficial fourth branch of government.
Exactly. Right? So I've always looked at the media as like a tool for us to bring awareness, or just to say in a constitutional term, to show that I feel that the government is abusing us in this way, and here's why, and then let them talk about it. Whereas, I don't know, man, I've been called a media whore, marijuana narcissist, like all kind. First of all, I think when I've been called like a narcissist, I always be like, yeah, and that sounds like a compliment to me. Like, everybody,
if it's for an issue, you know, there's a difference between being like a egomaniacal, you know, crazy dude, and being very adamant about your stance in this issue or that issue.
Right. Well, almost everyone public or anyone famous or powerful is a narcissist. You know, look at like guys like Donald Trump or Lee Iacocca or some Cheney or Bush.
I was about to say, like any politician. Yeah, there you
go. They're all narcissists, and it come, even actors. Some of the bigger named actors.
Sure.
It's a character trait that's positive for an individual. It's not a negative positive. So I've been called a narcissist before, and the person using it usually says it in a way that they're trying to make it a negative.
Yeah. Well, here's narcissism
is a positive characteristic,
and it does depend. And I know exactly where you're going with this, but the fact of the matter is like you're not going to get anything done if you don't get up. For me being in bands at a younger age, if you don't get up there and fucking own it like you are the shit, it's not going to transfer. You know what I mean? If you don't throw yourself, as deep as you can into whatever it is that you're doing, it's not going to transfer. People are not going to take notice. So when you do it, man, go balls deep, dude. Nothing's stopping you. Nothing's holding you back but you. So when you go out there, and whether you're protesting on a street or being a quote media whore, or whatever sort of performance ego or anything else like that you have, go full bore, man, because there's nothing holding you back but you. And if it's something that you are feeling that passionate about, why wouldn't you? I'll whore it. If that's the case, I'll whore it out all day long. Why? Because I believe in these principles, and I believe in this freedom that I think that we can all have. So Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. And it goes back to that old term, too, the squeaky wheels, the one that gets the grease. Mm-hmm. The sheep, the sheep don't get any attention. It's the lion that gets the attention.
Right. Yeah, well, not only that, but the lion's looked at as the bad guy, as the quote predator in the situation as well. Like that's the funny aspect of it all as well. It's like, nah, man, he's willing to go for the gold. Go for it. That's the natural pecking order there.
Yeah. Oh well, but and then the next thing, this case that I was on,
yeah,
has lasted me 4 years. I am totally done now. The trial aspect of it, totally done.
That's gotta be such a weight off your back, dude.
Yep. But now begins the appeal issue.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't understand that most laws, or a lot of change in this society doesn't come because politicians one day decide to change the law. Most major societal issues in America have changed via the court system. Like you can pick almost any issue. Say segregation. We can name 10 court cases.
And I know the first time that we spoke a lot about jury nullification and all that stuff. But it's now. Could this be? I guess could your case and talking about appeals and whatnot. I mean, where as far as that goes, is that New Jersey's this basically the Supreme Court of New Jersey? Or
yes, it's in the appellate court of New Jersey. It may end up in the New Jersey Supreme Court. And me and my lawyer have been kind of joking that we think my case is going to end up being the Roe versus Wade case of marijuana in New Jersey, at least.
I honestly don't think that. I think that has the potential to be a nationwide thing, and that's just my own personal deal. And I know that, you know, you and so many others would hope that would be the case, but you know, I really do think that your situation is so prime and so choice, and everything that's gone on with all that, it has been like that really is the prime case for a Roe versus Wade type mentality for the entire nation.
Right. Well, there's going to be a lot of attention being played on it, especially the interstate travel part of it, because, you know, I was licensed in the state of California. I traveled to the state of New Jersey, and I got arrested. And I pulled out the federal argument that the Full Faith and Credits Act of the United States Constitution protected me. You know, I felt that if I was doing something legal in California, I traveled, you know, I have a right to travel. I traveled to New Jersey. You know, I shouldn't have to drop my medicine at the border, you know, and I believe case law, or at least the Supreme Court interpretation of the Full Faith and Credits Act supports and protects me, even though my judge and the judges said no. But on appeal, I think I'm going to win. And it has, if it doesn't have direct legal implications, it has the appearance of a nationwide importance.
Well, because we do have a lot of that nowadays, and the marijuana issue is so prime, now more than ever, really, because it's like, really, we see people coming to insane, minimals for time being served, or having to be served, I should say, you know, in certain states, yet it is perfectly legal in one. And while I feel like I am sort of, I think that states' rights advocates have a leg up as far as when we're dealing with stuff on a national level. I think that that's great for another set of checks and balances that some may have. I also think that it's like, really, it's still America, and it's perfectly legal in Colorado. Why am I getting 7 years for this, let's just say, in the state of New Jersey?
Right, exactly. That's insane, you know? We're supposed to have equal protection.
Right.
You know? Supposed to. But it's incredible.
That's what they tell us anyway.
Yeah. We're taught that. Along with, we're taught that we're supposed to be capitalist. But then when we try to make money, we're thrown in jail for being drug dealers.
Oh, that's well, you know, and that's just because you know, it's a way around the system. And I work in that as well in my day-to-day job. You know, some people would consider what I do to be in the gambling business. However, you know, it comes to, we're not harming anybody. You put in your body what you want. You spend your money the way that you want. And yet somehow it's still a crime at the end of the day. Why? Because we pay business taxes, but you know what? We also don't let the government run our, you know, it's fine when it's the lotto. It's fine when it's Powerball. You know, meanwhile, our education system is in the toilet, and they always say that it's for the, like, the lottery stuff goes to education. Any state or national lottery always says education, education, education. Meanwhile, it has done nothing but got ultimately worse. And, you know, I saw a meme not too long ago that was just funny as hell and struck so true, where it said something to the effect of, if the government was in charge of the Sahara, they would run out of sand. You know, so it just happens to be, or at least they'll make a way to do that, to make that happen, whether it's intentional or not, you know?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, that's a pronounced statement. But you know what? Government does mess up a lot of things, but we need government though. But there is a lot of things that just get screwed up by government, by bureaucracy.
And that's what it's come to, you know. a lot of the people that I hang out with, talk to, everything else, and I can't say that I necessarily completely agree and or disagree with that, is that, well, we had the best footprint, the best foundation for any government possible, yet this was still allowed to go on. For me personally, I think that's more the fault of the people than it is the government. If you let egomaniacal people and sociopaths run loose like they have, this is what you're going to get unchecked. This should have happened a long time ago, where people were putting these people more in check than they are now. So, this is kind of what it's bred. But, in the true sense of government, like, it should have worked. It should have worked, but we got lazy.
It's still working. We have problems, but it's working. I wouldn't want to move anywhere else.
Right. No, I agree with you there. I mean, there's maybe one or two other places in the entire world that I would like to go. Iceland is probably the greatest for anywhere that I would like to go. People say it's too damn cold there, but they've got really fine women and they arrest their bankers. So, that's sort of, and I hear their economy is doing really well. I could show up with any sort of trade that I have, stored in my back pocket and probably make a decent living. So, with that being said, that might be someplace off in the future, but no, I hear what you're saying. It is great and we've got the best foundation, but it just hadn't worked out quite so well in the past handful of years.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think we're moving in the right direction on the marijuana issue, though. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a handful of issues that, that's the encouraging part. With our generation, I really find that we're starting to turn this around. I'm glad that enough people are pissed off about it on multiple different issues to be able to say, you know what, it's time we turn this boat around because it's gone way too far and we realize we're not going to make sure. But we still do have time to go back home and refuel this thing, before we head out on our next voyage. Just to be, that I guess metaphorical about it. But as we start to wrap this up, man, please let everybody know everything that you got going on and where people can find out more. You got the website, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, Weedman.com. That's my homepage. Been like that since 1997. Pretty much, I put everything there. My Facebook is still NJ Weedman, but I got 5,000. It's kind of hard to get new people there.
Hey, that's a good thing though too.
Yeah. But right now, my big thing is my appeal has been filed, or is being filed this week, and I truly believe that 7-8 months from now, you're going to hear some very good news out of New Jersey that my case overturns several aspects of our marijuana criminal laws, and I think we're going to have to tweak our state medical laws because of my case too. We'll see how it all works out, but I feel that I'm getting ready to change a lot, and it's not just out of a wish. I mean, I've gone through a whole bunch to put myself in this situation.
Right.
I feel like I'm getting ready to throw a knockout punch to the state.
Awesome, man. Hell yeah, dude. And it's about time. You've been hung up on this whole deal for so damn long. Yeah, it's nice to see you coming out of the gate swinging, man. So, hey, we'll definitely follow the story, and we're always here. Whatever you need, we'll be here, man.
Okay. Sounds good, man.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace now.
All right.
Puff, pass.
Fuck yeah, man. We'll see you later.
All right. Peace.
All right. There goes NJ Weedman.